It's preparing to live stream.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. Fuck it, we'll do it live. All right, this meeting is being live streamed. Everything you now say can and will be used against you by the court of public opinion. See, one watching. Not everyone left yet. We had some technical difficulties, people. And by we, I mean Shay.
It's so nice that it wasn't my problem this
Not
time.
this time. Not this time. Somehow I've avoided it, even though I'm like terrible with technology. Luckily, my shit is, knock on wood, my shit has been holding up pretty decently so far.
Jinxed yourself.
I know. It's over. It's over now. It's over. Yeah, better late than never. Exactly. Welcome, everyone.
How you guys doing?
We're doing good. How about you guys? Or I'm doing good, rather.
Hey, I don't want to alarm anyone here, but I see a dark figure.
There is like a shadowy succubus type thing behind you, like that torso figure.
Is this how?
Like the Mothman or something?
Yeah, right.
If it were me, I'd be freaking the fuck out right now, but that's just me.
It's just his gimp
I
suit,
can't
man.
tell you now. I figured out the blur effect, so
Yeah.
I can hide this. It's all of, yes.
It's the leather
No
suit
comment.
hanging up.
No comment.
No comment.
It's actually quite interesting. You know, I saw this on Facebook today, and it boggles my mind. I love how I get it. You want to share your preps and stuff like that, but there's a line, and people cross it all the time. There's this lady saying, "Hey, look at all, you know, show stuff in your bag, your bug out bag, and your vehicle mods and stuff like that, or whatever." But when you're starting to show your property and how much ammunition you have, it's got to be huge too. Say we've got stores of water here where there's, you know. Do you guys find that? Do you feel that? You know what I'm saying? Dan,
yeah, and I think
on Facebook, like, why would you tell the public this? Why would you share this with the public?
It could definitely be a liability for sure. And I think they're thinking again, like a lot of preppers tend to think in like absolute total meltdown scenarios where, you know, you don't have internet access, you don't have, where that's possible, but it's not the most likely scenario. As we've seen with everything so far, you're probably still going to have to go to work or have some semblance of society remaining. So shit make it really bad, but that video might still be up there and people have a chance to try and see it and track you down. You know, if it was EMP hits or something, yeah, you're not going to be worried because no one's going to be able to, you know, remember where you were, GPS that or find it. But in any number of scenarios up to that point, they might be like, you know what, I'm kind of poor. This old lady says she has a lot of stuff. She might be a pushover. Just going to roll on over to her place or find out where. And you can do that. There's these videos of these autistic kids that do like Google Maps games for as a like a hobby, and they'll take a still frame out somebody's window and like find out what intersection they're at and shit like that. You know what I mean? Not everyone's capable of that, but it's certainly possible, you know.
Well, they did that with Rogan had a brief talk about this. I forget the actor's name. He was the young Indiana Jones.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf, where he made that like he had this anti-Trump like display and people were trolling it. So eventually he moved it out to where it was just a flag in a field. Literally, it's just a flag in a field that said like, "He will not divide us," with a camera live stream posting up at the flag. So all you could see is a flag and the sky. And these fucking nerds timed like the contrails in the air to where flights were happening all over the country and found this fucking flagpole in the middle of a field in like Tennessee or Kentucky and like vandalized it.
And they narrowed it down too in the neighborhood. I understand.
And then they had people driving around like making noises, and they would say like, "Oh, we can hear it now. We heard the latest horn." And they
were able to triangulate the location of this live camera stream. It's phenomenal.
They call that weaponized autism. Because you totally have to be like a weird autistic nerd to like spend that much time in that. But the point is, it is possible with barely any information like that. Like literally, a camera pointing up into the sky, and they found exactly where this flagpole was. So if you have a bunch of videos that may have stated, well, you better be. And like honestly, we have videos about our stuff out, some of our stuff out there. You know, I try to do some basic OPSEC, but I know people, at least know people know where the city I'm in and everything. So you got to be careful, or at least realize that that's a possibility and take some precautions against that as well. So
exactly.
I know there's been the place that I'm staying in right now for being out here for work is sometimes you peruse different websites, and you notice that ladies of the night are staying in the same hotel as you are, and all the signs are there.
Why,
And
you started
it's,
recognizing him?
well, I'm like, ah, she was at the smoke pit like 4 hours ago. What the fuck's going on here? I thought this was a reputable hotel.
Yeah, family establishment.
Nope.
Oh.
For
But
work, right? Yeah.
you're absolutely right, and I'm bad for this as well. Showing people what
Well,
I
like I
have.
said, to some extent, we make that trade-off when we knowingly put stuff online to try to teach people or help people or share information. If you're just
Right.
doing it, like Shay was saying, to be like, check me out, it's probably not a good enough reason.
Right.
Like, I get that you could have a closed group with people, some camaraderie, sharing back and forth, helping each other get excited about doing the right things. But if you're just going to post wildly on social media about all the stuff you have, it could be a liability.
Well, exactly. And it's just like the old joke for all preppers are saying, it's like, oh yeah, the tornado was coming. What were you doing? I was like, seeing what the neighbors had. That the big joke where hey, what do you have to prep? And it's like, well, I'll just take from the neighbors or what have you.
That's interesting because that you mentioned that, because I've seen a few people. It was a couple weeks ago, but for some reason there was like this one topic that made around to like a bunch of channels talking about it. The idea of like wolf preppers. Did you see that? And that's basically what you're talking about, where people who like they're cognizant or aware enough that things could go bad that they want to take preparations, but instead of preparing in the way that we do, like actually preparing, the only preparation they make is to prepare to take things from other people. Like, why do I need to store up food and water? Because I'm just going to stockpile guns and weapons and then just take it from the people who have it. And so like there was a bunch of people making these videos, and I really don't think that that's like a real thing, like a real category of people. You know what I mean? That are actively and effectively doing this. I think there's a bunch of people who say that, they have a shotgun, they have their guns and shit lying around their house. Some fat fuck is just like, I'm not gonna pay, I'll just take it from the weak people who do. But someone who's like actively doing that, who's like sociopathic enough to make that decision, but also rational and reasonable enough to make effective plans to do that, I don't think those people really exist. Now, to be sure, there's like criminal elements that will transfer into doing that. They do all sorts of other crime, and then when it becomes apparent that resources are limited, they'll turn their attention in a predatory manner to other people. But I don't think there's people who are effectively like setting up plans to do that and not doing any other preps. You know what I mean? So they're putting all this effort into like prepping and planning, but not getting any food or water. They're only exclusively doing it in a way to like, and effectively, like, oh, we're going to have a team of people and we don't need any food or water because we're just going to get it from everyone else. It doesn't even really make sense.
No,
because there's so many scenarios where there might not be any available anyway.
Well, I think that's the big problem is here in Canada. Like I always see on different prepper groups that I belong to and stuff on Facebook is, where do they draw the line of that's it, we're cutting you off, and hey, come on, I got food, I got water.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be happy for the first 2 or 3 days of whatever event happens.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be like, yeah, sorry, Bill, I can't give you and your family any food anymore.
Right. Well, that goes back to what I was saying too. Like if there's these groups who are like, I'm just going to take it from everyone else. Well, if you don't even have like 72 hours worth of stuff, you better be pretty quick at finding someone to take from.
Well, exactly.
And you've got to be consistently be able to do it without getting your ass blown off. Because even if you have like, let's say you have a group of 10 guys who have effectively trained to like storm people's houses, they don't have any preps other than weapons, and they actually train and prepare to do this thing, they're still going to take hits and stuff like storming preppers' houses. Even if if it's 10 against 1, you're probably not going to get out completely unscathed every time. And now, how often do you have to do this?
Oh, exactly.
Every week, every day? I don't know.
Right. And then the people that you're with that are going to be doing that, you have to be a pretty close-knit friend.
Yeah, because they might just turn on you.
Well, exactly.
So I don't think, first of all, it's not smart for all those reasons. And I also don't think it's just something that really is happening. I think the people who say that, who post online like, I'm a wolf prepper, they're just trolls.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
They just like to rile up the preppers. They're like, oh, you think like it's maybe a way of them like being defensive about not being prepared too. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just take it from these old weaklings. I don't need to be prepared. I'm a badass.
Criminal behavior is inevitable, and
Right,
maybe the
right.
reverse will almost be happening. Like you're describing a scenario, and I'm just thinking the reverse is what you're suggesting. Yeah, you're not going to be there with your group of 10 people unless there was some asinine extreme condition that you and your crew got stuck and you were going after criminals or criminal organization. That would be the only way to justify proactively breaking into a building to get food, in my estimation. But the reverse, I think, would be quite common. This is to suggest that criminals will be ambushing the people that aren't prepared, that are trying to get out of the city, go to the country and whatnot, and they'll use all sorts of techniques to take the people without the firearms that are trying to survive without any preparedness skills at all, to take very little they have. I see those doors getting kicked in.
Oh yeah,
unfortunately.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely there will be groups of people going around like taking in a major event, but it won't be people who have like planned to do that specifically for shit the fan scenarios.
Right.
You know, it'll be people who are either desperate enough to try it or who were always criminals, and so now there's even less rule of law. You know, but they won't have been planning.
Yeah, they'd have to be crazy. If that was your only prep, you didn't buy, you know, if you look at your fridge and a little freezer and that's all you got for food, and you're like, yeah, I'm a prepper. I'm just a different kind of prepper.
Yeah. Like, that's not real. To where they're like, I'm preparing, but not actually preparing with any real stuff that I need. I'm just going to prepare exclusively to take it from other people who may or may not have any. Like, where are you that you just know that, and you're gonna do all this work to like track down where these people are, maybe, and like map out ahead of time. Okay, these are, but not just prepare yourself. Wouldn't it just be easier?
I'm preparing by tracking down your work schedule. That's what I'm preparing. Right.
And like I said, that could work, I guess, but it just doesn't even make any sense, because with even less effort and time and money, you could just actually prepare yourself.
Well, you have to start somewhere, though, right?
Yes.
Well, I guess, you know, the only way that would work for me was if it's somebody I completely hated, and it would have to be convenient for me to, you know.
And you're just like, now that there's no laws, I'm gonna get this guy. I've been waiting.
Yo, there's a few things. Well, listen, everybody, you can't stand anything these days, right? Without being politically correct or incorrect. But let's just say, well, I've always said this in the past, that line of breaking the law, or you know, I'll start breaking in to get medications at the pharmacies when I see disproportionately larger numbers of law enforcement breaking the law themselves to survive, which I don't think is good.
Yeah, I mean, my metric would be the same that I use now, which is when, like, if it's necessary to, you know, to save your life or to prevent grievous bodily harm, then, you know, I think breaking most laws is justifiable. So,
nail in the coffin.
Yep. But yeah, so it's an interesting scenario.
You should get like some sort of beard sponsorship thing you could do when we do this show, and buy Big Dan's lotion.
One of those beard straighteners and some beard oil, and just go to beard oil.
It looks kind of screwed up. I just got back. I was telling Eric I was going for a scooter ride earlier, so
it's all.
It's like blows. Yeah, it's getting to the point where it might be time for a shave or what have you, but.
Well, here's a question: if there was a shit the fan, would you just let it all grow out, or I think I would have to just shave it down, shave my hair down, everything. Not have to worry about it.
Depends on the sort of hazmat. You may have to, right?
That's true too. But then again, where you guys are, it's cold, so you might want the insulation.
Well, yeah, I suppose
makes a difference.
It really depends. What the I guess what the thing is set. If it's
scenario.
You have to wear a gas mask the whole time, then of course, you'd be shaving all the time. But for me, it's, you know, you spend so long in the military, I just never was able to grow it. Now I just don't.
Well, I grew my hair all out like surfer style when I got out.
I don't know. It's all gray now. I look odd, but wife likes it, so I guess I'm gonna keep it.
All right, sounds good.
That's another technique. I talked about this with a series I had years ago. Well, not years ago, but dark prepper mindset concept, which was to intentionally look deranged or crazy. Right. That means like Vaseline under your nose, make it look like you're sick. And what I would do is I would actually partially shave part of your beard.
To make you look all patchy. Like you're all mangy. You're like, oh my God, he's got the monkeypox or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, carry a staff with you with a big, orb on it or
maybe
something.
Put a hunchback in it. You could actually pretend it's a hunch, but it's really your camelback. It's like, oh, water, please, water. And you're all patchy beard and everything.
Yeah, and I wouldn't wear pants, of course.
Yeah, you just naked.
That'll add to it.
Definitely adds to it.
You don't wear pants. You don't wear pants anyways, right?
Right.
Well,
no one will bother you. Yeah. Well, that reminds me too. I saw this video where someone was in like one of these shitty cities. I don't remember what it was, but it goes back to your video, Shay, kind of like the dark prepper mindset too about I don't even know if this was a dark prepper one or just one of the videos you made about making your place look dilapidated, like it's already been ransacked. And someone because they were parking downtown in the shitty part of town, so they rolled their window down and they had like a jar of auto glass and they just poured it all around, and so it looked like the window had like already been smashed out, so no one would break their car.
But hiding in plain sight. It's just like you're walking downtown, you see somebody has a ticket on their windshield. Well, you take that ticket, you put it on your vehicle,
right?
So then it looks like, oh well,
they don't put it on. They already got him.
Exactly.
Right. Or you learn the FEMA symbols and draw them on your house or something. Although it would only work if it kind of been through the area. If FEMA shows up and no houses have the marking except one, they'd probably be like, what? One already has it. They might give you more attention.
It's hard to, but I don't know. Are you going to be sitting in your house when something happens? Like, I don't really plan to be at home in a city because everything will just be ransacked.
Yeah, it depends on the scenario, obviously. Because if it was a major scenario, there might be some serious ransackings. But again, I don't know. It just depends. If you have an ability to, if it's extremely severe, people might just instantly try to flood out of the cities. Like if water shuts off, electricity shuts off, that sort of thing. To where if you can hunker down for 72 hours to a week or so, maybe the cities will be mostly empty. Who knows? Depends.
Yeah,
probably depends on the size and location.
If you could hide in your basement for 2 or 3 weeks and hopefully let all the marauders go through it and break stuff and get away with it, then by all means, I guess you could hang out in your house or what have you. But I don't know.
Pick off a couple straggler crackheads trying to come through or something. But
leave them on your lawn.
Yeah,
perfect.
That's what I proposed was the carcass of a deer or something very foul smelling, because that would be enough even
to people
if they physically wouldn't be able to access the units or a unit because of the nauseous smell.
Yeah, as long as you didn't make it so bad that you couldn't even stand it.
So. There's lots of different tricks, and one I'll just add to that. If anybody happens to listen to this or take notes, is you guys pretty much covered it, but to make it look like you're the victim, it's an unfortunate thing. But auto glass was a great idea. Smash glass of your house. Take some clothes, your ex-wife's clothes, throw them all over the lawn, and really kind of dress it up, look like it's already been vandalized, because it's less likely of people attempting to break in, I suppose.
Right. Yeah, if you could, the better you can make it look like it's already just been ransacked.
Yeah, but like Dan said too, you'd have to have a good reason to stick around or be in the core of any major city. I mean, it depending on the nature of the disaster, the proximity, 9 out of 10 times, you're probably going to be in your best interest to stay away from people.
Right. As long as you can tell where they're all
and get connected with guys, like the brotherhood here, people that have their shit together.
Right. Yeah, if you have a group, obviously that would be the best bet, because just for strength in numbers.
We don't talk much about groups. Do you guys want to? I know we didn't have much in terms of news. I caught that much part before I had finicky camera issues. Do you guys want to segue? Any interest in talking about your experiences with prepper groups?
I have very little, honestly. That's been one of the weakest points of my prepping so far, is having like-minded people close by that I've actually hooked up with. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
There's no community out there or anything.
I'm sure there is. I just haven't really ever had the, like, it's so fraught with like weirdos, you know what I mean? That you want to, I've always tried to be careful about that, not wanting too many people to know where like where I live and stuff like that directly, like exactly. But I haven't, yeah, like I said, it's just a weakness, honestly. Not something I've been put enough effort into really finding like actually local people to connect with.
Have you always felt that this is something you would rather do on your own, so you weren't motivated to find the other people, or
No,
just
it's
finding
definitely,
the right people?
yeah, that's it. Because I mean, definitely I understand the I mean, obviously it would be nice to not have to worry about relying on other people. So if I, you know, if that were actually something that could be done, that would be my choice. But I don't think that's realistic in like in a lot of scenarios, you know. So it's definitely something that I think is missing. But because like the whole idea of like, oh, I'm just going to go it alone is not a great idea most of the time. But that only applies in a lot of major disaster scenarios, which hopefully we could avoid. You know, even something like a serious economic collapse isn't the same as like an all out grid down, shift the fan necessarily, you know. There's a lot in between. So yeah, it's mostly just something that I haven't been able to figure out a way to do in a way that I think would make sense and be more helpful than harmful.
Dan, I know you're in Alberta. I'm in Ontario. We're both in Canada. I know just with my local network here in Ontario that Ontario seems to be, and this isn't a puff and chest thing, but Ontario is just more popular with preparedness. I'd like to humbly think, you know, the little events I got here have something to do with that. But what's your experience has been with prepper groups, interacting events? Is there, you know, anything that is happening out there in the preparedness in the province of Alberta?
You'd be.
I don't think Canadian preppers out that way, I think. Or Nate.
You know what? I think I'm not too exactly sure whereabouts, but in my experience, probably within the last 18 months, maybe 24 months, I've experienced maybe 3 or 4 different larger groups of people that I've talked to and helped out and such. But one group, you know, they just wanted quantity instead of quality. So there was large numbers of people, 200-300 people in this kind of group, and it was just, you know, there'd be weekend retreats and such. But then, you know, people would start getting angry with other people, and then, you know, they would leave, and then
This drama.
Oh, it's just, yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
You know,
see, I hate that shit.
it had a really good foundation, but it just unfortunately kind of split up with other people, and
yeah, I guess
it sucks. But and then you get to another group where, you know, it's like, they were okay, but, you know, they're very religious type folks, and it was just like, would they be prepared to do the hard things if they had to? And then there was another group out of not too far where I lived, and good bunch of guys and such, but unfortunately they didn't like my counterpart, and they kind of said that he had to go, and of course I'm not leaving a guy behind, so those guys were good. And it's oddly enough, Alberta is full of different prepper groups. You'd be very surprised the amount of people that have the idea to get together and band together with different people and such, but it's worrisome, right? Because once you get,
yeah, I mean, that's one of my questions is like how, because I know you guys have a lot more experience with different types of groups like that. So like, what's the general idea typically of how you would band together? When, like, is there a central location usually? Do you have, you know what I mean? Like, the only way I can ever seeing it making sense is similar to the way that it was kind of in that, I don't know if you ever read it's a novel, the book Patriots. It's like a prepper novel. by James Wesley Rouse. The way he described it is like people who all were friends and then just together made like a specific compound where they would each contribute. It's hard to get that to happen, but that's the only way I can really see it working. Because even if you have a decent like just network of preppers or prepper minded people, that could certainly be helpful, but it's not like direct, like, okay, PMP happens. Like, how are you contacting these people? Where are you connecting with them? How are you connecting with them? Are you going to their house? Are they coming to your house? Like, what's the plan? How does that work?
So the one with the very large number of people, there was about, all one group, but they were in their own areas. There was probably it was one giant group, but about 8 different zones, so to speak. And if something were catastrophic to happen, they'd all meet up in one centralized location, and then that.
Which was one of the people's in the group's property, or what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And lot of land, lot of animals, lot of.
Yeah, so you have to trust all those people though to be giving out your address and shit and say, "Come here when shit hits the fan."
And yeah, and that's another thing when groups split up, which they always do. Well, everybody knows that one centralized location, and it gets.
And their security protocols and tactics and their armory and everything else. That's why.
Yeah.
Right.
Why?
I mean, the security is
yes.
the main reason why you need people. Like, it certainly is possible to take care of like prepping and self-sufficiency in most of the other ways with just a couple people. Like, you could have a fully operating homestead with a handful of people or one family.
Mm-hmm.
It's when it comes down to the security, that's the major thing that you need more people for.
Well, and I'm big on security. Shay's even said this to me. He's like, security is great, but it's just not the only thing you should be doing as a prepper. So,
of course not. Yeah.
Of course, you're going to have a group where, 4 or 5 are security, maybe 6 or 7 are security or what have you. Then you got to have, there's got to be a leader. There's got to be,
right.
The cooks, the cleaners,
and that's all just drama too, usually.
Oh, buddy, it's shit. If you can't get along when times are good, how the hell are you gonna get along when times are shit?
Yeah.
You know what? I think a nice farmland. I got a buddy that has he's got like 10,000 acres out in Alberta, and it'd be like you said, he's got everything he needs. He just doesn't have the security to run it.
Right.
But
yeah, I mean, that would probably be the best bet is not necessarily to try to find preppers, but if is to try to set up something like that if you can, and then just find people that you can trust, and you supply them resources just to come and be trustworthy people that, what I mean?
Anybody can be security. Like, it's as
right.
much as I hate to say it, but
it's just sheer numbers would help, and obviously you can train people up to that if they're trustworthy. It's easier to train a trustworthy person that you get along with, who's going to fit into whatever hierarchy you have in mind, than it is to take someone who has preps and training and cram them into your, to be able to live with them and trust them and all that. You know what I mean?
I honestly
don't necessarily.
Think that, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to my 2 cents. I don't see it as so black and white with numbers and guns and experience and skill set and knowledge for security. But I just wanted to throw these other concepts, which is that we also have an alternate strategy would be accessibility or lack of resources. So if you're in the middle of the desert, it's unlikely you're going to have anybody come after you. If you're very remote wilderness, extremely remote,
true,
there'll be increased chances of success.
That's true.
You're in a very difficult place to get to. So that also could be a great strategy as well, to not be in the contrast, black and white or binary way of thinking of just, we need guns. Yes, guns are important, but realistically, it's probably just going to be a Ruger 1022 if I'm traveling, if I'm moving from one location to another, and then something a bit bigger. But anyways, Dan.
Yeah, I'm chewing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, because that's one way to cut down on the need for how many people you would need, is just make it like if you have some ranch way out here in like Nebraska or something, you know what I mean, and you were 10 miles from the nearest beatnik town and 50 miles or from an actual town, people aren't just going to start wandering off into the fields very often. and show up at your, as if you're not in
It's
between
just,
two major
I
cities or
imagine it
something.
would be a lot more. Yeah, exactly. A lot more rare instances, but nevertheless, we don't know. So, I mean, the more firepower and manpower you have, the better. I can't get
Right.
over that concept. They share 200-300 people. They're sharing this main location. One other tidbit I was
Right.
going to throw out there is, if one was inclined, and let's just say I like Dan, a cool guy, could fit out with the team, it's got some experience. I'd give them GPS coordinates to a certain location, which would expire after a certain amount of time. So if SHTF, then he could go to a certain cache or spot which would reveal further instruction.
And you could change that out as you needed.
Exactly. So if I wanted to implement, let's just say SHTF tonight, I could place something in there, set that up. So they don't, I have a way of communicating with him or getting in contact with him if SHTF, because he'll be able to find me. But I also have control if and when he does find me. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Then you're protected. So I wrapped my head around that, because once you open the Pandora's box, then it's.
Yeah, and I think the ideal solution is, like I said, where I have plenty of people in my family and my friends that I trust, and I think would be great to have with me, but they're not preppers and they're not necessarily very local. But like, if I had a lot more money, I would set up a badass prepper compound, just be like, hey, all you guys, this is where you show up. When shit gets crazy.
Nice.
I'll have the food, I'll have the guns, you just get your ass here, kind of thing. You know what I mean? That would be my preferred way of doing it.
Yep.
That's absolutely the problem. That's the problem, though. When you don't get people the right mindset and mind frame and whatever,
you can't.
Then, they're gonna show up with a 1022, and then that's it.
Well, like I said, if they're good people and like they're military people or whatever, like, and you can prepare for them, I think it's easier to prepare for someone logistically than it is to get them to make them a good character, to make them trustworthy, to make them someone that you get along with, that you care about. Yeah. So I'd rather, if possible, I would take those people that already have all that and then just try to get them squared away rather than the alternative.
What do you get? Here's the thing. I'm going to get your guys' take on this. I'm just assuming 20-25% of the people that I'm with for XYZ scenario are going to be the, self-entitled people. Like, they're not going to hold their weight at all. And it's just going to be, it'll be like, I don't have a mother-in-law, right? But the mother-in-law's cousin or something weird like that, right? They don't know what's prepping. They want to contribute their weight. Do you guys have any way of dealing with those types of people, or are you anticipating that, or you're going to chop them
off? Are you talking about like people that you have some connection to, but you're not like a close friend or family member?
A forced connection. And let's just say you've got a girlfriend, you got to bring her brother. You just, what are you going to say? No?
Yeah.
Or maybe you would. Maybe you would. I don't know.
Yeah, and like I said, in the scenario that I described, I would have, I would say they can stay, and then it would be under the rule set of whatever, if you're pulling your weight, you have to be trustworthy, and then I would have some sort of predetermined, like, not even necessarily law enforcement system, but I'd be like, these are things that you cannot do or you have to do, and if they don't happen, then you're going to get kicked out.
Yeah, or
you have to.
You take.
Oh, sure. There's certainly rules.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Sorry.
Take him Dick Cheney hunting.
Yeah.
Pepper him with buckshot.
Billy got eaten by a bear. I tried everything in my power, but
he died saving my life.
Yeah. Just look at the roses there, Charlie.
Yeah. Think well of me.
But I don't. That's the thing. Yeah. Like, I know my wife. She's like, well, if we're going anywhere, we got to take all these people, and I'm like, yeah, but so where's all the stuff that they've prepared? If they don't have anything, then
And in that serious of an environment, like you're talking about, resources are not only your blood, sweat, and tears, but it's like a literal zero-sum game at that point. Like, any meal you give someone else, that's coming away from your direct family, from you. You know what I mean?
So now you're taking food out of your.
So it better be somebody. Yeah, it better be someone you fucking care about and willing and able to help you.
Just like I'm sure that every prepper that's, we've all talked to or ever known or probably listening to this podcast right now, they've heard, oh, when shit hits the
I'll
fan,
come to your house.
I'm
Yeah.
coming to your house, and I always respond by, well, you better bring some preps, or I'll plant you right on my sidewalk.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Isn't that a very self-entitled mindset for people to say? Like, where do people get that from? Oh, because I hear that too. I'll just come to your place.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it starts with the delusion about what kind of scenario you're really talking about here. You know what I mean? Like if they're not really thinking about the way it would really be. They think of more along the lines of, oh, my power's out, you got a generator, I'll just come sit under your light. You know, not really thinking or talking about like taking food out of your mouth because you don't feel like preparing now, even though that's literally what they would be doing.
But that's the thing. People, hands down, will do everything in their power not to, I don't know, to prep, to store food, to keep themselves, because they have it in their mindset. I'll just go to 7-Eleven, or I'll just go to Save on
Yeah,
Foods,
like I was saying, they just really don't even understand what scenario you're talking about here.
Look what happens. Look, Ontario, they had a windstorm or some sort of storm, knocked power out for a few days recently, and people had generators going, and people were complaining that the noise of the generator was too loud, and it was, keeping them from sleeping or what have you. It's like this mindset that we're in right now is
it's just totally divorced from reality of like what, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there's certainly people that are, we're all nice when we're in the movie theater watching the movie, and then when it's time to get out, there's just part of the population that turn into assholes. It doesn't matter what. Humans are selfish, you know, and there's this expectation of goodwill when you've got a generator going when there's a blackout, right? Hey, neighbor.
Yeah, everyone becomes a communist all of a sudden. It's kind of like that meme where it's like my dog when he has food, and it's like, don't tread on me. And then it's like my dog when I have food, and he's like a communist, and he's like, hello, comrade, let's share this meal.
Yeah, that's it. It's
and that's how people work, you know what I mean?
That's right. It's whatever happens to be convenient for them at that time. So, fuck people. I hate to be blunt and direct, but it's the truth. There's people that I'm going to take care of. They have no idea, but I'm going to go out of my way to take care of because they're good people.
Because they care.
There's no one a prepper.
Right. There's people that you care about more than you care about yourself, and then of course you're going to try and prepare for them. But you can't, people can't assume that they're going to put their needs and their family needs ahead of yours and your family just by choice. And actually, the law of the minimum. Appreciate this super chat. Yeah, he says you got to ask them, why would you come for? Yeah, I guess it's like you ask him. It's like, coming to your house. Why? Are you going to come eat my food?
I think.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, when most people say that, 100% honestly, they're joking. And even if that, they probably would do that when it happens, they're not really thinking about this as being an actual scenario that could ever happen. That's the bottom line. That's why they say it. Because if they really, really thought in their heart that this is something that could happen, they would be a little, at least worried or doing something about it themselves. Even if it was something stupid, they would be doing something. The bottom line is they really don't think it's real, that anything could ever happen. It was so bizarre to me that in Florida, we have hurricanes and power outages every year. And people would be like, what's happening? And caught off guard by it. And I'm like, bro, you live here. This happened last year. How are you rushing out to buy this stuff every year?
Wow.
Yeah.
Glad we got out.
Right. And they're just like, oh my God, I heard power, it's 3 days. So I'm like, why don't you have this already?
I'll be back in a second.
So yeah, I mean, most of it's just a complete, lack of acceptance that something like that could ever happen. Even when it's already happened to them, they do that. So
yeah, it's odd.
It's really bizarre.
I just don't get it. The first toilet paper shortage of COVID, and then it's like, oh fuck, it looks like it's gonna happen again, and people are like, oh my God,
right?
Oh my God. Don't you have 400 fucking rolls from 4 months ago? What's going on?
Yeah, well, that's what happened. Buy a bunch in a panic, then get rid of it because why do I need all this toilet paper? And then buy it in a panic again, the next year.
Blows my fucking mind, man. Excuse my French, but people are just so stupid when it comes to it. And I think personally, all these people saying that they're going to come and take from me and shit like that. my wife's like, "Oh, we're gonna have to bring these people." No, no, we're
Yeah.
not bringing them, and she's gonna be pissed. The first
Yeah.
3 or 4 weeks of the apocalypse, it's gonna suck because a wife won't be talking to me and giving me the silent treatment. But
Well, it's not a problem because your wife doesn't talk to you now, anyways, right?
well, yeah. So it's one of those things. It's like whatever. It's
Well, I mean, I don't relish it, you know what I mean? Like the idea of having to do that, because there's plenty, if there was something that's serious, there's plenty of people that I would even care about and wouldn't be able to give them anything,
right.
but if you're on a plane that's crashing and there's 3 parachutes and you have like you, your wife, and your kid, and there's 3 other people that you like, like someone's gonna fucking die.
Yeah,
You know what I
I'll be
mean?
scissor
It's not
kicking
about
them out
like
of-
you're like, ha ha, this is what you get for not bringing a parachute of your own. It's
Yeah,
more
that's
like
right.
this is reality. There are 5 people and 3 parachutes.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're going
And
bye
they're not
bye.
going to go to the people who said like, nah, I'm not going to bring mine.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
keep
Yeah.
flapping.
Think floaty thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's gonna suck, but it's just that's the hard choices.
Yeah. But like I said, I think it boils down to them just not really thinking that that's a real concern.
Yeah.
Because they're caught, like I said, even in Florida with the hurricanes, they're caught off guard every time. It's not only does it happen to them, it happens like every year to them, and they still think of it as being like, oh my god, really, really bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't know if
The
that's
question-
like a weird evolutionary thing to protect people from just being panicked all the time, or is this what? I don't know.
Maybe. Like we've certainly experienced biological reactions to things now that were only valid or relevant when lions were chasing us.
Right.
So maybe there was a comment here that turned into a question from a user called Prepping for Life. Yes, they will take major hits trying to take stuff constantly! Exclamation mark. However, do you think they could gain people as they go as well? It depends on your plan. If you're holding in place, then chances are you're in a good spot. Anybody that comes around you is an intruder.
Right.
But other people may have different strategies where maybe you want to leave a GPS coordinates and a note on the door of a doctor as you're passing through certain towns because you have their addresses, and hopefully gain people as you go way off.
What if he's talking about
resourceful.
the marauders? And yeah, in a serious enough scenario, certainly there could be like a warlord type people that had to join us or die type of thing and ended up with a giant gang. That's certainly possible.
Lord Humongous.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the Lord Humongous.
Just like the Lord Humongous.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it goes back to, a couple years ago when I was in Ontario teaching that thing. What? Huh?
I just the Lord Humongous. The fuel, give us the fuel.
Yeah, the gasoline.
What?
Just walk away.
It's one of those things. It's like if people aren't prepared to do something,
right,
they're gonna end up.
Yeah, and I think that's the bottom line is people aren't they don't act. They don't and when something happens, they're not the people who it's the fight or flight or freeze, they freeze.
Right.
I think the issue goes it's a bit deeper than that, much deeper, like to the foundation of our basic psychology. People don't think about prepping, right? 95% of the population don't think about prepping, or maybe they know about it but don't actively prep. And we're we're over the top. And preppers don't have to be as gung-ho and crazy as we are.
Right.
But I'm wondering how much of an influence with social media and other things that are sort of dragging people's attention away, Instagram or TikTok, or these sorts of things are preventing people from even reaching the realm of thought.
I don't know if it's preventing them. Like, I think you're totally right that, I mean, the most part, people aren't worried about the future, period. They're not worried about, they'll make decisions that fuck up their life tomorrow without thinking about it. Like the guy that they get mad and go back to Taco Bell with a shotgun because they didn't have like hot sauce. And like, obviously these are not forward thinking people. Their time preference is horribly skewed. They're not thinking about how their actions are going to affect them in the next few hours. Obviously they're not planning for the future in a way of like preparedness.
Yeah. So in addition to that part, we also have growing mental illness within society, financial hardship, all these other sorts of this melting pot of circumstances. Yet the three of us were able to roll through the punches and make it to where we are today to prepare. But there was a lot of, I don't know what part of the brain needs to wake up in order to activate that self-awareness. between the
Yeah,
general
I think
population
it's the
and us.
time preference mostly. You know what I mean? It's just how you view like they said that like the cookie test that they used to do in like toddlers predicts success and stuff later in life, and
Okay.
more so than even IQ or whatever. And that's where you say, I give you a cookie now, or you wait like some nominal amount of time, like 2 minutes, and I give you two cookies. You know what I mean? And they just can't get over even that basic waiting for twice as much in like literally a couple minutes. So they just eat the first cookie right there. And that's called a warped time preference, where like
Okay.
whatever you're feeling or wanting or desiring right now just takes preference over everything else. You know, and that's what it is basically. Not to that extreme extent necessarily, but making you're not focused on the future period.
Very interesting.
The whole grasshopper and the ant parable, all that nonsense.
I don't know about you two, but I'll tell you right now, like when stuff goes, you're hanging out at home and say the power goes out, and then you immediately go to your phone and say like the internet's down, you're like, it's here, it's happening.
Well, interesting point that you said that, because Lucius Cincinnatus, is that PQR Cincinnati? Did you change your name? I had a $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Said, what events would indicate that shit the fan is 100% happening? For me, it's open war with China. Yeah, I mean, anything that if we go to direct war with China, that's obviously going to cause some major shit to fans. I would say other ones, it's hard to say because some of them are just shit, like are shit the fan happening. Like if there's an EMP pulse and all the power goes out, it's hard to say that that's like, oh, it's gonna happen, because I mean it just did happen.
Yeah.
But I would say if someone just instantly came out and like some of these countries like Saudi Arabia said we're totally ditching the US dollars reserve currency, which is going to happen eventually, but I think it'll be steps. But if they just came out and said it's happening tomorrow, that would be like 100% chance of economic collapse. Like I said, open war with China / Russia. I can't think of anything else specifically like that, but a nuke going off pretty much anywhere, I think would be a big one. It would be not immediate shit to fan, but that would be basically the same as us going to war with China and Russia. So,
but you know what? I'm just gonna answer furry tree dweller, saying that when people are ransacking stores, well, shit, people ransack,
that's happening now.
the Canucks lose the Stanley Cup and people fucking went ape shit and started ransacking stores. It wasn't a shit hit the fan scenario, but
it is if you're there, I guess. But yeah, it's not a widespread, obviously major. And I think that's what Cincinnati was talking about. And I mean, there's obviously some more political type stuff. If certain things were announced, like, all right, guns are illegal in the U.S. as of executive fiat right now, like, okay, that would cause it. I don't think that's going to happen, obviously, but there are things like that I could be like, all right, it's on.
It's happening in Canada.
Right.
It happened in Canada. Just about Trudeau put a ban on, a freeze on handguns.
Yeah, I know.
Well, now you can't import them in. So hopefully you have something, because all the gun stores are completely sold out of them. And I guess from what I understand, you can't even get them now. So that's the slowly of the banning firearms in Canada. I think next they're going to come after ammo. And once,
I mean, I don't even know. It seems like in Canada they don't even need to. They don't have you guys don't have the Second Amendment protection. They can just go after the guns directly, like they're doing. Right? I mean, I'm sure they will go after ammo, but here it's like sort of a back door where maybe they could, bypass the
it's too
constitutional protections.
Yeah, too many pissed off Americans.
They were too crazy. Guys, luckily, yeah.
Which
I'm happy about that.
I'm considering. Well, I would have loved to go down to California again, but I certainly would consider coming down to having some real estate in the state somewhere close to Ontario, and because that would be one of the main reasons. Because you guys, we're screwed here, man. You have no idea. Like, it's a taboo topic. Firearms.
Yeah, I would say save up some cash, because I definitely expect the housing or real estate market to have some big correction within the next year or two.
Hey, you know what?
Buy some.
This is how bad it is in Canada. Someone breaks into your home and they want to hurt you and your family.
Yeah, you go to jail for her.
And you shoot them.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
Yeah. It's terrible.
It's like,
it's the worst.
Yeah, you first of all, you have to go to your lockbox. unlock your firearm. Then you have to go to another lock box and unlock the ammo. By
Yeah.
that time, you've been stabbed 400,000 times in your back, and you're just
He's like, unlocking this thing.
it's like, I have to start over now.
You're like 36 left. Oh, fuck, I got 14. Oh, get
Damn it.
stabbed in the back.
And then yeah, don't the cops are like, don't do anything. Like just run and hide, and we'll get to you eventually.
Yeah,
No,
right.
You're gonna come and take the fucking pictures of my dead body.
Yeah, exactly. What a joke. That's horrible.
That's how bad it is in Canada. So, you know what? Someone breaks into your house, have a baseball bat, beat them to fucking death, and don't even call the cops. Roll them up into a carpet and yeet them off a cliff. Woo!
I mean, it's a joke, but obviously that highlights like when people are put in this no-win situations, they're going to start doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like, why would someone call the cops if they're guaranteed to get in trouble? If you're if you have to choose between, the cops putting you in prison or this guy murdering you for your stuff, people are going to start doing other things.
Oh, 100%. Hi, Tammy. Sorry, I had to do that. Somebody
I saw that. Said hi, Dan.
But
I've actually got to get going soon, but if you guys have anything other we went to 7 already. That was a quick one.
That was a quick one.
Ramblings were.
It was good. It was fun.
It was fun, definitely.
It always is. When do you gentlemen want to get together again?
What is the date today? The 21st. So 2 weeks is. I'm cool with 2 weeks for now. The 4th. And we'll have I'll work on having some actual segments so we can topics. Someone asked about the what the drought situations here. I was mentioning to you guys right before. I was going to make because I'm in Vegas, as most of you know, and it's funny because Canadian Prepper, speaking of him, just made a video recently where he was basically like, "You're already dead if you're in Vegas." But and I've said this before, like for purely preparedness reasons, Vegas is not a good spot. And that's not why I moved here. I don't make most of my decisions in my life based exclusively on preparedness. Mm-hmm. But for the drought specifically, like everyone knows, Lake Mead is really low. Colorado River, there's a lot of states that pull water from there. And this mega drought that we're having all over the country and in a lot of places in the world has caused levels to be extremely low to where soon at some point, if it doesn't get corrected, they'll stop being able to let water through the Hoover Dam, which will mean anything downstream of there won't get any water, and they'll stop being able to generate electricity from that. So a lot of people seem to think that Vegas will be like the worst and the first hit by that, but we're actually in the best spot of most of the lower basin areas because we don't get almost any of our electricity from the dam. So we wouldn't be hurt by that. And we don't get our water from through the dam either. We have a direct deep access pipeline to Lake Mead. So we don't take water after the dam, we get it before the dam. So Las Vegas, while there's still a serious drought, it's still going to impact us, we're actually going to be in the best shape, or we are in the best shape of a lot of these local areas, not the worst shape. So just a heads up for people.
Wow. Everybody else is screwed though.
But yeah, California and Arizona are the ones that are going to be hit the most because the certain areas in California, Arizona are what use the power from the dam, and a lot of California agriculture, especially winter agriculture, uses a lot of that water going through the dam. So.
I see.
But so far, if it gets to Deadpool status, Vegas is not the one that's going to be first hit. So, and I have water storage. I have a pool and water barrels. So,
Dan, where can people find you?
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, Dan, you on a new TikTok, right? You made a second channel.
Yeah. So Great Sox Productions too, but I kind of went back to the first one. I'm gonna pretty much burn that until they completely kick me off. It's hard to kind of let go of almost 12,000 followers. It's
yeah, for sure.
Sure, of course, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 of those are porn butts, but hey, it's still a follower.
Exactly. Yep. Well, I appreciate everybody watching. And you got your channel up and running, Jay, or you still waiting on that?
I'm offline right now.
All right.
I haven't decided what I'm gonna do.
Cool. So right now you're just laying low.
I'm in idle.
Sounds good. Sounds good. But you guys here will know.
Gentlemen, you'll see a gentleman in a couple weeks. Appreciate tonight. It was fun as always. Yeah. Thanks to the audience, and we'll same bad time.
All right. Sounds good, guys. We will.